how do you get people excited today? You know, I think this is what we're up against. And how do we especially get high potential people, the promotables, the future of the organization, how do we get them in the game and engaged? That's what we're going to focus on here. I wish there was a simple answer. I wish it was as simple as something like this. High potentials, you gotta love them, right? All joking aside, we're going to talk about how to meet people like that and bring them along for the ride and to tap into what's going on with him so you can get the best out of that. The war for talent is over. Talent won. Increasingly, this is what we each have to realize. I know it's hard to hear that in the middle of an economy that still has a high unemployment rate, but it's true. And going forward, for the next 30 years, 20 to 30 years, the greatest challenge of human resources in every organization will be finding, holding on to, and getting the best out of the talent you need to run your company. When you say high potentials, are you just talking about the top performers? Well, the fact of the matter is, someone can be a top performer, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be on your high potentials list. There's other variables going on. So yes, we want people that are doing a good job, and that's probably, homeroom. That's probably the starting point, but it's not enough. It's not enough. You've got to look at a couple other things as well. So if you just look at the people that have high performance, 70% of them are not ready and will not be ready unless you do some proactive planning to get them in line. So what type of attributes should you look at? In my research, a lot of work from Corporate Leadership Council, for example, they identified 3 specific things that are critical. Now, and the first is, ability, talent, where we started, but you got to go beyond that. Number 2, you got to look at their engagement, the whole packet of variables aligned with the vision of the organization. The final one, especially important, I feel, is the aspiration. You have to know, are they interested in being a future leader of your organization? I have my wife's a computer scientist. She's turned down 3 promotions to executive levels. Doesn't want it. She's doing enough, and she wants to be part of the family. And it's not. She doesn't see that as part of her future, regardless of how many times it's offered. Okay, so in order for you to find out what people's aspirations are, you need to talk to them. You need to talk to them. So part of this whole process I want you to take from here is that there's got to be a form of discussion with people that you think that might be in the category. And maybe that's a starting point for your process. Because if you don't, communication is very, very fickle. Across the board, communication is fickle. So especially with your most important people, you want it not to be fickle. You want to be to the point. So a good example of this, and I've got a lot of best studies and that I want to share along the way. AMN Healthcare, for example, they took a serious deep dive on this. They interviewed 200 people in their employ, and they asked about these variables. And based on that, they came up with, here's the people that we want to have on our high potentials list. Here's the people we want to focus on and helping them develop the future. That takes some time, okay? And depending on the organization, I've seen that take like 3 months or even longer to take stock of who you've got, have one-on-one interviews. Now, there's three current challenges with high potentials across the board. Number 1, their turnover is way up. These are the ones that are leading the exodus out of organizations today as the economy improves. And darn if the Harvard Business Review didn't actually predict this. 2 years ago, they predicted, 3 years ago, they predicted that over 30% of high potentials would leave the organization, and they were right on. It's been that much. The people that are first to go are the ones that have the ability and the aspirations, and if it's not happening here, and no one's talking to them, and they're not very excited, they're gone. Followed by a lot more people, by the way. Some 54% to 86%, according to CNN Money, say that they plan to leave their organization as the economy improves. Okay, and we're going to talk about millennials again if you come to my other session. 76% of millennials currently in the job plan to leave as the economy improves. They haven't been through a recession before, so more on that to come. So turnover is up. Their engagement is down. This is a group you want to be most engaged. it's actually low. And we're going to talk about why that is. And even worse, their performance is suspect. Again, these should be the high flyers. Maybe they're hired as a high flyer, but the evidence is that they're not performing to their capacity, to their potential. So this is pretty concerning to me. Is probably why I'm doing this talk. What can we do about that? Let's dig a little bit deeper on these, though. 30% of high potentials turnover last year. 30% was the number. By level of the organization, and I know you've got this handout, you can probably read it better. This is actually the main level of the organization that has the highest turnover right now.